Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to the Honorable Glennis Hannah Martin, Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, to the Honorable Zane Lightbun, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, to our Deputy Director, Ms. Sharon Poitier, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Mr. Donovan Turnquest, Ms. Antoinette Storr, Assistant Director of Education, members of the media, Bahamas, good morning. And thank you so much for joining us on this very important occasion as we give you an overview of the school repair program that is dealing with the opening of our schools in very short order. At this time, I would just like to thank all of you for coming, and we appreciate your patience at this time. And so right now, we will call on the Honorable Glennis Hannah Martin to make remarks, after which we will take any questions. Thank you very much.
Good morning again. I wish to thank the members of the media for positively responding to this press briefing. The purpose is to advise on the state of repair of our public schools and to advise on the date for reopening of schools in face-to-face tuition. We are in a pandemic, and the Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Instruction has been fully guided by the Ministry of Health and Wellness as to one, when face-to-face instruction may resume, and two, the safety protocols in the classroom and on the school premises to facilitate face-to-face instruction safely. Based on the advice from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I am gratified to be able to announce that reopening of classrooms nationwide, including New Providence, will take place in the second week of January 2022. In the remaining time between now and then, and in preparation for the safe resumption of face-to-face instruction, we will consult with all stakeholders, parents through the PTAs, administrators, teachers, support staff through their union representatives, on the procedures and policies for schools reopening as mandated by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, which we expect to be hybrid in the first instance, gradually leading, we hope, to full face-to-face. Over the last 2 years, since the first COVID case in the Bahamas, there has been tremendous disruptions in our children's education. It's the almost 2 years in our children's education, and significant gaps in learning have occurred. The effect of this is serious and can be long-lasting. We in the Bahamas will do all that we can to counter the negative effects of this experience on our children. We must therefore collaborate and cooperate for the greater good of our nation. We must all join hands, principals, administrators, teachers, support staff, parents, and the wider community, and the Ministries of Education and Health and Wellness, Social Development and Urban Renewal, to get our children not only back in the classroom, but back on track. We expect collaboration with these and other ministries to implement testing and remediation programs to achieve this objective. However, several primary, junior, and senior high schools throughout the country are being repaired as we speak. These repairs range from what may be called minor to major structural repairs. As it relates to those schools undergoing major repairs, several schools will likely not be ready for in-person classes in the second week of January 2022. Of course, we are very disappointed that this is the case. However, we are working closely with the Ministry of Works as they oversee the various contractor works to assure diligent attention to completion. I thank them and my colleague, the Minister Alfred Sayers, for their hard work and dedication. I wish to recognize especially the work of the Minister of State, Minister Lightburn, in going physically, personally, and viewing the state of repair of these schools. I thank the varying contractors. The following schools, now under repair, will likely not be ready for face-to-face instruction come January 2022. L.W. Young Junior High, where they are undergoing structural repairs, electrical and plumbing work, and building works. Yellow Elder Primary, which is undergoing structural and building works. Sybil Strawn Primary, which is undergoing roof installation, electrical and building works. Ridgeland Primary, which is undergoing structural repairs, building repairs, electrical installations, window installations. Uriah McPhee, which is undergoing major roof repair and interior classroom repair and electrical installations. S.C. McPherson Junior High, which is undergoing structural repairs and building repairs. The Center for the Deaf is also undergoing building repairs and electrical upgrades, but we are hearing that that may be fit for occupancy come January 2022, but we will be discussing that further with stakeholders. C.W. Sawyer, which is undergoing structural repairs, electrical and building repairs, and installation. Carlton Francis Primary, also undergoing structural works to an exterior staircase. Columbus Primary is also undergoing repairs to the roof of the administrator's building, and this school may be able to facilitate the children. However, we have to further discuss that based on the activity on the island, on the premises. Additionally, schools in the Family Islands, Moores Island, S.C. Bootle, and James Pinder Primary in Abaco are undergoing electrical, building works, plumbing works, and will not be ready, we are told, for second week in January 2022. Gambia Primary is also undergoing a construction project of new classrooms, and it may be ready for occupancy on the second week of January, but we will have to further discuss based on the activity on the campus. You will have seen that we've exhibited photos of some of the New Providence schools so that the public can get a visual sense of what are essentially construction sites on the school campuses. As it relates to the students of these schools, that is the schools that will not be ready, the ministry is devising alternate plans to ensure that we facilitate face-to-face for these students, and that these children will also be in school. And I want to repeat that. These children will also be in face-to-face instruction. The bottom line is that these students will be in school. The ministry is engaged in a number of initiatives which we hope will lead to the medium to long-term qualitative improvement in our education system and higher student performance outcomes. That's our goal. We're committed to that in this country. But simultaneously, we are dealing with an emergency brought on by the coronavirus pandemic, interrupting and straining the education of our children. Every effort must be made by every single one of us, public and private sector, parents, civil society, the church, everyone, to ensure our children do not fall through the cracks. We cannot and must not let that happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Hannah Martin, for that very comprehensive overview of the state of the physical plant and plans underway for January 2021. At this time, we will take questions from members of the media. January 2022. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Which one? Can you identify which, give your name and say where you've...
Ms. Smith Cartwright from the Tribune.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Cartwright.
My question is for Minister. Minister, you said that, or you pointed out that this is like 2 years of disruption in learning, and that you're, going to collaborate with all these various entities and so forth. Can you give us some examples? Because, we already had an issue with the low average of these kids, etc. Would you give us some examples of what you plan on doing? Like, let's say, for example, would you consider longer hours in their learning, or what can we do?
In the solutions?
Yes, to bring them up to speed.
Well, the dilemma has been that children have been significantly in a virtual learning mode. And we have discovered that a significant number of children have either not been on consistently or not at all during that entire period. All of the research shows that learning loss of that nature has serious impact on the child's personal development, which also has an impact on the national development, because if you have masses of people who have been set back in this way, it's something that we will all pay a price for. As a result of that, we have been speaking with our technical people to see what strategies have to be implemented to catch up. Part of that will include a testing of the children once we get them back in the classroom, so that we're able to make an assessment of the extent of loss, which we hope is not extensive, and thereafter placing or channeling the children in appropriate remediation programs to see if, I'll say to catch up, to put it in that language. Additionally, there's a second category of student. It's the student who would have normally have graduated last year and normally would have graduated this year. And many of them have not been online at all. And we consider them to be what we call dropouts. And so we are seeking to identify those children or young people and trying to channel them in programs through BTVI, National Training Agency, to ensure that they are able to make up for lost ground as best as is possible. So but we're actively looking at the issue. We're committed that we will do all that we can to make up for, as much as humanly possible, the loss of learning during this crisis. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Okay. Ms. Sharon Poitier will speak to some also with the minister's leave with some of the remediation efforts which are underway.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for your question. As Minister indicated, we are looking very, very diligently at what we call our responses to intervention. And so what this means is that when students return to the classroom, they will be assessed, they will be diagnosed, and those will be put into one of three categories. Those children who are in critical need of intervention, those who require moderate need, and those who are currently at grade level and do not need that intense intervention. And so we have already articulated with our district superintendents and with their principals those plans, and they are implementing what they feel would be necessary at their school level, because you will appreciate that there will be differences depending on the context of the schools. And so they are working with their teachers, the principals, to implement their plans when the students return. I am pleased to say that we have been getting quite a number of our retired teachers who are saying to us, we are willing to volunteer our services. And so that too will be added to what is happening. And I must say that this is not only something that is happening here in the Bahamas, but globally. And so our partners at UNESCO, our partners at CARICOM, we are all collaborating to see how we can best assist our students. And so, as Minister said, every effort will be made to ensure that our students are getting the intervention that they need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director Poitier. Yes.
My question is, how much is the school's repair is costing the ministry? Can we get a price tag on that?
Mr. Turnquest? Okay. Mr. Turnquest, would you like to take that question, please? Thank you, ma'am, for that question.
Good morning. The question is, what's going to be the cost of the repairs? Total cost of repairs will be somewhere upward of $20 million. Million dollars.
Now, is this $20 million already been budgeted in the current budget?
Yes.
Or additional funding?
Yes, it's in the budget, and additional funding is also required because when construction starts, there are unforeseen things that come up that has to be addressed. As you know, we have a very old physical plant that requires continuous maintenance throughout the year. And for 6 weeks during the summer, we try to do more extensive work. When the pandemic hit, we decided this was a good time to do major structural works. When I say major structural works, I'm talking about things like major cracks in balconies, bathroom floors needing to be redone, things that will be a health hazard for students and staff at schools.
Now, that's a follow-up, appointment in my follow-up question. The question was proposed that for over the years, from successive governments, we've seen that every summer or every year, schools are being delayed because of repairs. And the question was proposed, is shortcuts being taken with these repairs? And what is the ministry doing to ensure that we don't have to go through this every year where schools are delayed because of repairs?
I wouldn't say that shortcuts are being taken. As you know, our work is supervised by the Ministry of Works. They prepare the scopes and they oversee all the work. So I wouldn't exactly say the shortcuts are being taken because project officers are assigned to every contract who oversee these works daily. Okay? So it's just that 6 weeks is a very short time to get the work done. And presently the Ministry of Works is working on putting together a program that can facilitate repairs year-round. Okay, so that is being discussed, and they will come back to us with a program that hopefully will alleviate the situation for us. Okay, but like I said, we must appreciate that the physical plant is old. There are some schools that have, like L.W. Young and S.C. McPherson, the lifespan is 25 years. Those schools were built in 1974, I think, and so the lifespan is really passed. During the summer last year, I asked the Minister of Works to do a survey of the buildings, and they determined that the steel infrastructure of those schools was still solid. Therefore, we decided to take out the panel fabs walls that they have, and install blocks, which will extend the life of the school for another 20 years. Because the cost of actually replacing those schools with new schools was beyond, I think, the government's budget. Any more questions?
I don't have a question, but the minister statement was up for this question.
Okay.
My next question is, we know that face-to-face will resume in January of 2022, as you noted. What is going to happen with national exams? Will they still be on target to be sat in its normal time frame?
Yes, he's going to answer that. That's a technical, yes. You want to speak to that? Ms. Poitier will speak to it, ma'am.
Thank you for your question. Yes, we anticipate that those exams will carry on as per scheduled,
That includes the VAT examinations also?
all of the examinations.
Antoinette Smith from Garnett. Those schools that would have been listed from the island of Abaco, they would have been undergoing repairs since Hurricane Dorian, which would have been about 2 years ago. How far off are they from actually being repaired and available for students?
The schools that were actually destroyed by Hurricane Dorian have been repaired. You're talking about schools like Patrick Bethel, Central Abaco Primary, Hopetown, Green Turtle Key. Those schools are. The repairs that are going on in Abaco right now are minor repairs. I noticed that the minister listed James Pinder as one of the schools that can't open, but I think that school can open. It just has some minor repairs going on. Now, SC Boodle has some more major work going on, which will prohibit that from opening. So probably by January, that school will be ready to open. Over in Morris Island, what we're doing there is actually we are adding a preschool. So it's new construction to that school. And I guess by January, that school will also be ready to open. Not the new part, but the old part. Yes. So in January, right. Okay, so by January, Morris Island be ready. And James Pinder will be ready also.
So this is more so related to school repairs, however, where are we with those comprehensive schools in Grand Bahama, Nagua, that were?
Okay, the drawings for those schools have been completed. The Ministry of Works proposed to break ground on the Nagua School in March and the East End Grand Bahama School, I think, in June. Okay, as you're aware, the East End Grand Bahama Comprehensive School will amalgamate Sweeting's Key, McLean's Town, High Rock, and the Freetown Preschool. Any more questions? Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to say on the James Pinder School, like the Deputy Permanent Secretary is correct, but we've been advised that that is going to be ready mid-January. We've not included that because that is a tentative date, and so based on the date we'll be starting in-person classes. This may not be immediately available, but we hope it'll be ready thereafter. The schools I've listed are currently not ready. The others are all ready for face-to-face instruction. Right, oh yes. The Permanent Secretary is reminding me that we anticipate that the advice of the Minister of Health and Wellness will be that in certain islands, there will be full face-to-face, resumption of full face-to-face instruction, not the hybrid model. And that would, we will be able to give further advice on that once we have been fully advised by the minister. But we do anticipate that in parts of the Commonwealth, there will be full face-to-face instruction.
I have another question. My next question is in terms of the COVID-19 guidelines. I know the ministry already have some guidelines in place. Will there be adjustments to that current guideline that is in place for COVID-19?
Yes, we are awaiting the guidelines, renewed guidelines from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So whether it will be a repeat of prior practices and include new modalities, we're not sure, but we hope to have that very soon so that we're able to begin the process of dialogue and implementation.
Are there additional questions at this time? We've satisfied all of your concerns. Well, thank you so very much for coming together, members of the media. We do appreciate you taking this important message out to the public, and we thank all of the members of the public who are joining us in. And we thank the ministers and the professional team from the Ministry and the Departments of Education, Technical and Vocational Training for the excellent work that they do. And thank you to our communications team who is always there to help us to get the message out. Have a safe day and week, and thank you so very much. This concludes this press conference.